Hello there, stranger. I heard you're looking for your first car, but not just any car. You want something fun, practical, and maybe even a little bit sporty without completely emptying your wallet. Well, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll show you 10 amazing first cars that are perfect for enthusiasts, whether you're looking for lightweight handling, a reliable engine, or just something that makes everyday driving with style. Stick around to see which car fits you best and let me know in the comments which one you'd pick. Now, let's get into it. Number 1. Volvo C30. The Volvo C30 is a great choice if you're looking for a safe and reliable car and don't mind sacrificing a bit of sportiness. I wouldn't say this car is for the true OGs, as it's on the heavier side and the sportier versions aren't exactly cheap. It was introduced in 2006, received a facelift in 2010 and was produced until 2013. When choosing between the pre-facelift and facelift models, your budget will be the main factor. But if you ask me, I'd personally go for the pre-facelift version. It came with a lot of engine options. Here I would recommend 2 engines. If you're looking for low fuel consumption, reliability and safety, the 1.6 TDI is a solid option. The D4164T engine produces almost 110 HP and 240 Newton meters of torque. It comes with 5-speed manual and a 5-litre per 100 kilometers 47 mpg combined fuel consumption. And the engine lifespan is around 300,000 kilometers. The disadvantages of this engine: on engines of the first years of production, camshaft cams quickly wore out. Also, the chain between the camshafts was often extended, which knocked down the timing phases. The turbine often fails, usually due to clogging of its oil filter. The reason for carbon formation here is in weak refractory washers under the nozzles. The remaining problems are associated with contamination of the particulate filter and the EGR valve. With this engine, the car could go around 5K. If you want real driving excitement and have a budget of at least 9K, then the one with the T5 badge is the way to go. The B5254T is a 2.5-litre turbocharged petrol engine with 230 HP and 320 Newton meters of torque, with 6-speed manual and 9-litre per 100 kilometers 26 mpg combined fuel consumption. The engine lifespan is around 280,000 kilometers. The disadvantages of the engine: this motor does not have a phase regulator or electric choke and therefore is very reliable. In specialized forums, the oil burner is most often discussed due to contamination of the crankcase ventilation. After 200,000 km, the cause of oil consumption is usually turbine shaft wear. According to the regulations, the timing belt is changed every 90,000 kilometers, and when it breaks, the valves always bend. Also, the engine mounts, pump, thermostat and fuel pump do not last very long. The C30 was also available with 2.0 NA petrol and other engine choices, which are decent, but these two stand out the most, in my opinion. Number 2. Hyundai Coupe. The Hyundai Coupe, also known as the Tiburon, is a solid option if you want a sporty-looking coupe on a budget. It might not be the fastest car around, but it has a reliable engine, decent handling, and an affordable price tag. The second-generation GK model was introduced in 2001 and was produced until 2009. It came with 3 engine options: 1.6, a 2.0, and a 2.7 V6. But in my opinion from here, the 2.0 engine is the best. The G4 GC engine is a 2.0-litre naturally aspirated inline-4 with 140 HP and 184 Newton meters of torque. It comes with a 5-speed manual transmission. The fuel consumption is around 8.5 litre per 100 kilometers, 28 mpg, and the engine lifespan is around 500,000 kilometers. The disadvantages of the Hyundai G4 GC engine: this is a very reliable power unit with a long resource and without serious flaws. Its weak points include perhaps a rather capricious ignition system. There are a considerable number of topics on the specialized forums about the unstable operation of the engine and solving problems after replacing the ignition coil or its high voltage wires. Motors of the Beta series are quite demanding on the quality of the lubricant and the procedure for replacing it. Therefore, saving often leads to the failure of the phase regulator up to 100,000 km, and the use of highly liquid oils for long runs also leads to the rotation of the liners. In these engines, the crankshaft is connected to the exhaust camshaft by a belt, the resource of which, according to the manufacturer's official data, is about 90,000 kilometers. But dealers play it safe and change it every 60,000 kilometers because when it breaks, the valves bend. Also, the owners complain about the noisy and even sometimes hard operation of the unit, the low resource of attachments, as well as malfunctions of the computer and temperature sensor. The major problem would be with the rust rather than the engine. And you can find a Tiburon in a good shape under 5K easily. These cars, I don't know why, but don't have much value yet. Number 3. Toyota Celica T20. And now, something for the fans of the 90s Japanese cars. The Toyota Celica T20, 6th generation, is a great choice if you want a lightweight, stylish and reliable sports coupe from the 90s. It was produced between 1993 and 1999. Here you can choose between 2 engine options, or in case if you have the budget to buy a GT4 version, then 3. The first is the more economical option with the 7 AFE engine. This is a 1.8-litre, naturally aspirated inline-4 engine with an output around 116 HP and 154 Newton meters of torque. But budget up to 7K, you can go with the GT badge. The 3 SGE is a 2.0-litre naturally aspirated inline-4 engine with around 170 HP and 186 Newton meters of torque. But the power output varies on versions as well. It comes with a 5-speed manual transmission. The fuel consumption in combined is 8.2 litre per 100 kilometers, 28 mpg, and the engine lifespan is around 500,000 kilometers. Disadvantages of the Toyota 3 SGE engine. All power units of this line are very reliable, but there is still one weak point. Closer to 200,000 kilometers of run, oil consumption often appears up to a litre per 1,000 kilometers. The timing belt here has an impressive margin of safety, but you shouldn't check it. Beams versions of this motor do not have recesses in the pistons and bend the valves with a brake. Modifications equipped with an EGR valve often suffer from floating engine speeds, since this valve is extremely quickly clogged with soot and then begins to wedge. For the same reason, keep your fuel injectors and throttle body clean. In general, this motor is quite noisy, prone to vibrations, and this is normal for it. However, periodically check the condition of the engine mounts. They are not very reliable. Valves can also knock, which sometimes require adjustment. There are no hydraulic lifters. Like any power unit in old age, there are enough problems with trifles. More often than others, components of the ignition system and some sensors fail in the engine. I can highly recommend any car with the 3 SGE engine series. They are solid power units overall. However, since it's a Japanese car, you need to watch out for rust. Number 4. Suzuki Swift Sport. If you're looking for a fun, affordable and lightweight hot hatch, the Suzuki Swift Sport is one of the best options out there. It may not be the fastest, but its rev-happy engine, sharp handling and low weight make it one of the most engaging small cars to drive. The model years can be a bit tricky, but as long as it has the Sport badge and a 1.6 NA engine under the hood, you're in the right place. The M16A engine has been in production since 2001, meaning the Swift Sport from 2004 to 2010 was equipped with it, while the next generation, 2011 to 2017, only got it in the facelift model, 2013 to 2017. If you have a bigger budget, the newer one is the better pick, but you can easily find an older model under 5K. Looking at the specs, there are some minor differences between generations, especially in power output. Thanks to more aggressive camshafts, thinner piston rings, and a different exhaust manifold, the first generation produced 125 HP and 148 Newton meters of torque, while the second generation bumped that up to 136 HP and 160 Newton meters of torque. The previous one got a 5-speed manual transmission, and the newer got a 6-speed manual transmission. The combined fuel consumption is around 7.2 litre per 100 kilometers, 32 mpg in the older, and 6.5 litre per 100 kilometers, 36 mpg in the newer one. Aside from these changes, both versions have a similar lifespan of around 400,000 kilometers, making them solid choices for a fun and reliable hot hatch. Disadvantages of the Suzuki M16A engine. This is a reliable and resourceful motor, but after 200,000 kilometers, an oil burner is often found. The reason may be not only hardened valve stem seals and stuck rings, but also increased wear of seats and valve guides. Its cylinder head is weak. The aluminum unit is very afraid of overheating and often breaks through the cylinder head gasket. The situation may worsen after 200,000 kilometers due to subsidence of carbon cast iron sleeves in the block. Of the minor problems, the most massive are the floating engine idle speeds. If cleaning the throttle assembly does not help, then look at the EGR valve. It may be clogged. Low reliability distinguishes sensors here, especially the position of the crankshaft, camshaft, and ignition coils, both dual before 2006 and individual after 2006. Leaks are common, usually through an oil pressure sensor. The catalyst and power unit supports do not serve much. Also, do not forget about adjusting the valves every 30,000 kilometers. You still need to watch out for rust, but I don't want to keep repeating myself. Number 5. Toyota MR2. Now, if you want a truly sporty-looking bad boy, the second-generation Toyota MR2 is for you. It's more practical than the following generation, slightly more powerful, but also a bit heavier. This car looks and drives great, but I'd recommend it for more experienced drivers due to its snap oversteer. Produced from 1989 to 1999, it came in multiple versions, including the 3S GTE Turbo model. But let's be real, you're probably not watching this video because you can afford that one. So, I'd recommend the version with the naturally aspirated 3S GE engine. Here you get a 2.0-litre naturally aspirated inline-4 engine, and because this is the same as in the Celica, I'll just tell you the specs of the car, since the disadvantages are the same. With 156 HP and 186 Nm, 5-speed manual transmission with rear-wheel drive, a real sport car for a relatively good price. Combined fuel consumption is around 7.8 litre per 100 kilometers, 30 mpg, and the engine lifespan is about 500,000 kilometers. These cars are harder to find, even at a low price. So if you're on a tighter budget, it's better to buy one as a project, or if you have the cash, a finished build. But hurry up and be careful with what you're buying. You don't want to end up with a rusted out shell and a blown engine for an insane price. Number 6. Volkswagen Golf 3 GTI, plus something extra. If you want something small European pocket rocket, then these two are for you. The Volkswagen Golf MK3 GTI is often seen as the forgotten GTI, stuck between the lightweight MK2 and the modern MK4. If you're looking for an affordable, practical, and fun first car, the MK3 GTI might be worth considering, as well as the Seat Ibiza Cupra from those years. This Cupra is one of the most underrated hot hatches of its time. Born from Seat Volkswagen Group takeover, this little hatchback mixed VW reliability with Spanish character. The Volkswagen was produced from 1992 to 1997 and the Cupra from 1996 to 1999. If you're wondering why I'm showing you two cars as one, it's because they both come with the same engine. In this case, the choice is yours, whichever you prefer. So the ABF is a 2.0-litre, naturally aspirated inline-4 engine with 150 HP and 180 Nm of torque. They come with a 5-speed manual transmission, a combined fuel consumption around 9 litres per 100 kilometers, 26 mpg. The engine lifespan is around 400,000 kilometers. Disadvantages of the VW ABF engine. This power unit is considered very reliable and breaks down relatively rarely. However, the design of the motor uses a lot of original and expensive parts. The main problems here are caused by sensor malfunctions and, above all, the throttle position sensor. The timing belt resource is about 90,000 kilometers, and when it breaks, the valves usually bend. At high mileage, piston rings often lie and oil consumption appears. If you don't mind the high fuel consumption for the amount of HP it produces, then these could be a great choice for you. Number 7. Honda Prelude. If you have the budget and you're a big Honda fan, then this pick is for you. My recommendation is the newest, the 5th generation Prelude, produced from 1996 to 2001. I'd suggest going with the H22A engine. If you have a bigger budget, go for the red top. It has almost 40 more HP. If not, the black top will still do just fine. The H22A engine is a 2.2-litre naturally aspirated inline-4 engine. The power output varies from the top as I mentioned. It goes from 185 to 220 HP and 206 to 210 Nm of torque. There is a 5-speed manual transmission and a combined fuel consumption around 10.6 litre per 100 kilometers, 22 mpg. Yeah, the fuel consumption is high a bit, but you get a lot of fun from the car. The engine lifespan is around 300,000 kilometers. Disadvantages of the Honda H22A engine. These engines are very reliable, but they are often criticized for progressive oil consumption. Also, oil likes to ooze from gaskets, seals, plugs, and a pressure sensor. Sometimes the car starts to react badly to the gas pedal due to electrical glitches. More often than not, antifreeze leaks occur here due to the fault of another burst tube. Since there are no hydraulic lifters here, the valves will have to be adjusted every 40,000 kilometers. Go for this car only if you have a bigger budget, as they are hard to find but still available for under 10K. And remember, another world opens when VTEC kicks in. Number 8. Škoda Octavia 1st Gen VRS. Okay, chill out. Here's a turbocharged car that won't cost a fortune and is still reliable. Say hello to the first-gen Škoda Octavia RS, produced from 2000 to 2005. It checks all the boxes: practical, fuel-efficient, reliable, and with cheap parts. Plus, you can choose between a front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive version. The engine code is the AUQ, a 1.8-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine with 180 HP and a bit weak 235 Newton-meters of torque. But the engine here has a big tuning potential as well. It comes with a 5-speed manual transmission and a combined fuel consumption of around 8 litre per 100 kilometers, 29 mpg. The engine lifespan is around 300,000 kilometers. Disadvantages of the AUQ engine. The main reason for the unstable operation of the engine is the constant air leakage through the crankcase ventilation. Numerous branch pipes of the crankcase ventilation system simply crack. A low resource has a hydraulic chain tensioner, which plays the role of a phase regulator here. Often, there are leaks of anti-freeze from the T of the cooling system and failures of the coolant temperature sensor. Ignition coils with built-in switches fail very quickly. These cars were also available in a wagon variant. However, as time goes by, they're becoming harder to find. But if you look around, you can still spot some for under 6K. Number 9. Ford Fiesta ST. Looking for something small, sporty, practical, and fuel-efficient while still being reliable? The Ford Fiesta ST 6th Gen facelift is a great choice. Produced from 2005 to 2008, it came with only one engine option. The N4JB is a 2.0-litre, naturally aspirated inline-4 engine. The engine was designed by Japanese company Mazda, LF model of MZR series. It came with 150 HP and 190 Newton-meters of torque, with 5-speed manual transmission. The combined fuel efficiency is 7.5 litre per 100 kilometers, 31 mpg. The engine lifespan is around 350,000 kilometers. Disadvantages of N4JB engine: camshaft seals are unreliable. Thermostat breaks very often. Then the engines don't warm up or vice versa. That problem is suitable for 100,000 kilometers. Intake manifold valve can cause the check engine sign. If your car doesn't accelerate after 3,000 revolutions per minute, maybe your problem in that valve. Gearbox synchro issues, hard shifting, especially from second to third gear. Weak engine mounts can cause vibrations at idle. These cars are really cheap just for now. You can find one easily in top shape for around 5K. Number 10. Audi A4. Now, something from the German market. The only real downside here is the cost of parts and repairs, but in return, you get a fuel-efficient and reliable car, just not a sporty one. If you're looking for a cool German diesel as a daily driver, this is a solid choice. It was produced from 1994, got a facelift in 1999, and the production ended in 2001. And you can choose between a sedan or a wagon. I'd recommend the AFN code engine. It's a inline-4 turbocharged diesel engine with a solid 110 HP and 235 Newton-meters of torque. You can choose between a 4-gear automatic or a 5-speed manual transmission. You can go with a quattro all-wheel drive as well if you want. The combined fuel efficiency is around 5 litre per 100 kilometers, 47 mpg, and the engine lifespan is around 400,000 kilometers. Disadvantages of the AFN engine. This engine is very reliable, and the problems described below happen on a big run. Quite often, there is a gesture of the saddles of the valves, and as a result, the loss of compression. The fault of the failures in traction is usually the jammed geometry of the turbine and the EGR valve. Often, the lower flange of the crankcase ventilation tube bursts and the lubricant begins to oozes through the pallet. The breakthrough of the auxiliary belt is very dangerous here, as it can get into the timing. These cars can be found very cheaply, even around 3K, so be sure to check the mileage, watch out for rust, and look for any mechanical issues before buying. These were 10 perfect first cars for enthusiasts, but we're just getting started. This is only part 1 of a multi-part series, so stay tuned for more great first car picks coming soon. Now, I want to hear from you. Which one would you pick? Or do you have a favorite that didn't make the list? Drop a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more car content. If you're curious about the Crosley Car Company's story, then check out my last video. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.